I wanted to start by saying, how good does it feel for you to reach what is a considerable career milestone as you release a 20th studio album? I mean, it's a big achievement.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a massive achievement. It's it's a testament to a lifetime of work. That's what it is. You don't do 20 albums in a couple of years. It takes 40 years. It's a lifetime. So, I mean, it means a hell of a lot to me, but I don't know how much it's going to mean to anyone else.
It's a great longevity, and to produce 20 albums full of your own original material, there aren't many that have done it, that have stayed the course.
Well, my philosophy is, you know, it's not about money. It's about creativity. How much did you get done?
Yeah.
That's really what it's about. How much did you get done in your life? If you only record 5 albums, that's not that much. You know what I mean?
A metal band should stay true to what it was in the beginning. Stay consistent. Now, to say that is one thing. To actually follow it through and do it is another. So, how did you manage to stay true?
Well, it depends. What it is it's having the right, having it right to begin with about what you're going to do and what you want to do, and you know, that goes back to a conversation that I had with Rob after the first jam. You know, we jammed for the very first time. We were 15, or he was like 14 and I was 16, and we left that jam, and what we said, let's put a band together that's going to be the heaviest band that Canada has ever known, and we will never ever sell out. Stay underground forever.
That was 1974, wasn't it? When you got together with
73, 74. And that was what we felt, because of course our favorite hard rock bands at the time would sell out, and it would be such a disappointment. Oh my God, they went commercial, they're on the radio. You know, it's like
yeah, I do, because at school.
So it's like, we're never going to do that. You never want to do that. You never want to become a pop man. That's not what hard rock is about. It's about no compromise. Do what you love, right to the end. And that's at least that was our thought. And of course, as time goes on, you get older. You think you know more. You get involved with other people that have an influence on you, and sometimes it's not so good, you know.
The key component.
It's been a long journey, you know, from the time we were, 1973, 74. That's a long time ago. You know?
Key component here is also, yes, you've got other players that have played in the band, but the spine of the band, you and Rob, has been there since day one, which, as you said, 50 plus years ago. How has that relationship survived 50 years without having musical differences?
Well, you know what? There never has been musical differences. It just it does that aspect doesn't exist. Where the shit falls through the cracks is basically when you both are after the same thing, but you want to do it from a different approach. That's where you got a different. That's where, you know. Oh no, now we got a problem. You want to do it that way, and but you want the same result, but you got 2 different ways of getting there.
And so obviously you've had an argument or 2 down the years, but
of course, and if you don't, there's something wrong anyway. Somebody's compromising far beyond where they should, and eventually harboring anger. So where's that going to go? You might as well you have a good argument, get it over it, and move on. That's what it is. That's what all relationships are. Where you have differences or grievances, you voice them, you tell each other, and you move on. That's what, at least if it's a healthy relationship.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's talk about the new album then, and some of the standout tracks. It's impossible, I think, really, to not have a good time listening to this. It's full on, it's loud, it's got big riffs, it's got big choruses. And here's a big statement here, which you may well disagree with. Possibly the best album of the millennium.
Okay. I'm not going to teach his own what they say, but I think I understand why and what you're, because if you go back to the original format of what Anvil sounded like, this is the closest it's ever been.
Yeah, it's a modern version of what you were hearing with the early classic albums. And if you kick off with that track, the one and only, I mean, it's like, well, I wasn't expecting that.
I'm not sure what that means. What is it that you weren't expecting?
In a good way. You say, for some people, if you say consistent, and we've got to say consistent, we've got to stay as we were, it means basically they repeat the same formula with very little difference over time. But I thought there was a noticeable difference with this album. And I thought, again, you might disagree with it. There's a lot more radio-friendly music on here that could end up on the radio, so you better beware.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but okay, but that it's followed through with my philosophy.
Yeah,
and I'll explain that right now because, and it's if you're going to sell out, what you do it is in your last couple fucking records. and there's plenty of reason to say that. There's 20 albums to buy now.
Yeah.
You don't go do that your first couple records, and there's only a couple records to buy. But there's in this case there's 40 or 50 years worth of work to go back and buy. But but at the end of the day, it went the full circle. It's the full cycle, so that we're really back at the top again, from where like back where Hard and Heavy and Metal on Metal. That's where it is again. And what did it take to get there? Well, it took a lot of growing, and then shedding, and then growing again, and you know what I mean. It's quite interesting, because although we were consistent during the 90s, we began following our followers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we started
absolutely.
Listening to the Metallica and Slayer and Anthrax and Megadeth and Pantera, and we adopted some of those things, and now we're lost our sort of identity in doing so. And that's what happened during the 90s. It's like, okay, let's incorporate, thrash beats, not only just thrash beats, but like blast beats, which are insane. We have one song that it's, if you ask me, it's going too far. We went too far. Well, but at the same time, it didn't matter. There was no accessibility, was completely out of the question. There was no support for that kind of music anywhere. It was all about alternative, Nirvana, Stone Pimple Pilots. You know what I mean?
The message begins, though, doesn't it, with originality being the key to success, individuality the way to stand out.
That's right. But that's my personal motto. It's what I've lived by my entire existence. It's about originality, and I do it bravely because there's no point in being timid about it. You do it bravely. You do it till the end. Now, what do I mean by being individual? Well, I always look for something that's going to make people remember. You got to be something. You got to be memorable, and it's not just musically, but visually, and do things that no one else has ever done. And right off the bat, and things developed, of course, over the years, even not much more, but obviously the vibrator is something that I'm quite renowned for. Well, no one else thought of it. I'm doing something no one else would do or would think of, maybe. I don't know, but and it's not just, it's simply as just pull out a vibrator and start smacking my guitar with it. It's being used in 4 or 5 different ways to create sounds and actually been used in the recording. So it's actually been musical as well as showmanship. The other thing,
Feed your fantasy. Next track, want to mention. This is going to be a great fan favorite. It just is. It's great live potential, and it's just a real fist in the air anthem. It's very accessible. I'm going to whisper that just in case, but it is.
But you're never gonna hear this shit on the radio. It's never going to happen. Come on, man!
Know.
I'm still waiting to hear new Rolling Stones songs, and you never hear them. Why? Right?
No.
Any of the old bands, they don't play them. Why? I don't know why that works. We were really quite good friends with the band April Wine.
Oh yeah.
And of course, April Wine were extraordinarily successful here in Canada. Yeah. And somewhat in Britain, but much more in Canada, and #1 hits for years and years, all through the years. They were always on the radio. Well, Miles writes a bunch of new songs, he records them, he puts them out, and they don't play them on the radio. Right? And it's like, come on, man! Like, what's up with that? And that's the way it works. You become
another one of your Canadian counterparts on the show recently, Honeymoon Suite. Remember them?
Yeah, of course.
But now, tell me, back to the album. When I was looking down the track listing, I thought they've done a ballad.
Oh,
But it's not. It's very much this Heartbroken. The reason I like that is got that real Black Sabbath feel to it. It's very, very, very heavy and doom-laden riffs. I mean, you're obviously a big Sabbath fan from back in the day. You've said it many, many times. But this is a great track.
Yeah, the influence is actually, although it is slow-paced and what it is, but the influence is actually Deep Purple and King Crimson.
Right. Got that wrong.
Yeah, but I'm just, but you'll become aware, as after they say that, you'll think about it and go, okay, yeah, right, all right. I mean, I can name the songs, and then you're going, okay, it's 21st Century Schizoid Man. It's a cross between those two things, but it's neither of them.
Well, I'll tell you what then. Dead Man's Shoes.
Excellent.
I could just imagine Lemmy singing that.
Well, yeah, that's somewhat the tipping the hat in that direction, no question about that. But there are the similarities in the way that we saw music and listened to music and what we listen to that have the similarities. So I just go into that world and start doing it.
The lyrics, the lyrical content of the album, you're still writing about the stuff that makes you angry. I mean, we've got some great lyrics in here. No denying the rules are made by fools, in the time of dying. So things that wind you up are very prevalent on here.
Yeah.
The fools change rules, cancel culture, the real vulture. That was another one, wasn't it? From
Yeah, that's Condemned Liberty.
And most people usually tail off at the end of an album, don't they, really? Or it's just one they've thrown in that they found on the studio floor. But you end in a fit of rage with Blind Rage. And it's a fitting conclusion because it's just a ferocity that literally never relents from the start until the finish.
That's right. It's interesting. Every flavor that we've been known for has been used on this record. That's what it is.
And of course, the interesting point about this whole album is the fact that this was written already before you already went into the studio. It was written at the back end of the production and the release of the last album.
Yeah, so, what? I mean, I've already got a great portion of the next stuff already logged. I just haven't begun the actual process yet. But all the information that I'm going to need is sitting in my computer. All the gathered songwriting aspects that I have to introduce the other guys in the band to. Yeah, it's interesting because I collect ideas for a good year on a constant basis. So sometimes I can even venture back a couple years and pull a riff out. It depends, right? And it's just really an endless supply because I make sure that there is an endless supply.
I get it.
Because it never stops, and because we're not a pop band. You have to stay. The only way to stay in at least close to relevant is to keep constantly putting out new music.
Your voice is in great condition here. This is not the easiest music to sing, but there's no visible deterioration. So what is the secret to you keeping your voice in the condition it's in?
It's not abusing it. That's really the key to it all. If you don't abuse your voice, it lasts forever, obviously. If you abuse your voice, you probably aren't going to be singing so great later on.
Fit guy, by the way, as well, in terms of physical fitness, aren't you? I mean, you talk about your career working in basically physical labor, the jobs that you've had over the years that have kept you in a good, physical.
Yeah, that's condition. Interesting that you say that because I thought that's something that only I think about. Because that was always I hated having to do it, but then at the same time I'm going, I shouldn't complain. It's keeping me in top physical condition for my rock and roll. I don't look like I'm overweight and I'm not all decrepit from not sitting around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you called Impact is Imminent your most cohesive album to date when that was released. How would you sum up the release of this album, number 20?
I think it's vocally the most organized song I think I've ever written, actually. But I'm hesitant to say whether that's good or bad. Like the song arrangements and how I arrange the songs and how the vocals all work on them I think it's at the top form. I don't know that I've ever done better. And if I did, it was by accident.
What you can tell here is And you said that it took you 35 years to make a living out of Anvil. Now you are, and that pressure is off.
To be really honest, you don't have this kind of longevity if you put those responsibilities onto the band.
Yeah.
That's the biggest mistake most musicians make. Don't put the responsibility of making money from your music. Don't do it. You got to make your money elsewhere, or from another source, some way, somehow, and you got to set your life up to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So working half days at a catering company, left the other half of the day to do whatever, all the songwriting that I had to do. And I always made sure that I didn't have an overflowing amount of bullshit work that clouds my abilities to do my music. I set myself up so I could do it. And it's not about and it's not about depending on the music for money, because if you do, you'll be disappointed and you will quit, because the real truth is, and whether you want to hear it or not, you don't make money in the music business. It costs you money. And no matter how much I will ever make, I will never really be paid for everything I did.
That's a good point.
Okay, that's what the truth is. And where you get your payment is the gratitude that you feel when people listen to your music, when people come to see you. That's your payment. And the friends you make all over the world. Where I'm making my money is still not from my music. It's completely and utterly from selling my t-shirts. Okay?
That's a big thing.
And that's really the truth. Yes, I'm making a living, but not from my music. I'm in the same business as my dad. We sell garments.
How creative do you get with your merchandising then? Because, it's obvious now to people that bands are making money not off of selling records, but off of tickets, sales and t-shirts. And there was one, so Judas Priest got, obviously huge praise for the album that they've just done. But what they did also get big criticism for was the price of their merchandise. Gigs at £40 and £50 for a t-shirt, which is probably about 75, 80 Canadian dollars for a t-shirt.
Yeah, that's what's going on, because everybody's listening to the music on Spotify, on YouTube, and everywhere for virtually nothing. The bands are getting virtually nothing for that play. Like micro if you had to live, you'd be living out of garbage cans, man. If you're waiting for Spotify to pay you enough in royalties, because you're never going to see it. It's never going to happen. So, I mean, that's the structure of the music business is always been almost like racketeering. It is and loan sharking. I mean, I've got nothing good to say about the way that the business runs, because there is nothing good to say. It's extremely greedy. It's selfish. It's actually quite phenomenal, in how corrupt it can be. Who gets the breaks? How do you get the breaks? Most of it's luck. Yeah. There's 1 to 5% is your talent and your sound, which gets you through the door. But the rest is about luck and being at the right place at the right time with the right label, with the right promotion. Came out at the right time of the year. The mood of the people was just that way, and people start buying your music. But in today's day and age, where are you buying the music? What are you buying? I gave as an example, I gave a CD to this friend of mine, and he goes, "Oh, well, thanks very much, but I don't have a CD player."
But there's a big vinyl research.
Yeah, but he said he doesn't have vinyl either. He just says he uses his computer, and that's the end of it. And it's got no DVD drive, so he just streams music. That's it.
Yeah, that is sad, actually. Now, listen, there was one quote that I saw that you made, and this was quite a surprise because I've been reading interviews with you, and I saw you back in the 80s and reading interviews in Kerrang and Metal Hammer and Raw. That was another one that was doing the rounds back then. And you said that you learned over the last few years that since the documentary, you realized that you lacked self-recognition, you lacked belief in yourself, and you didn't realize it. That was quite a statement, because anybody that knew you would think, really? I wouldn't have thought that was the case. You never looked short on confidence. So how did you come about that?
Well, what I came to realize, and it has to do with environment. When you're playing with other musicians, no one likes to feel less than the other guy.
Mm.
Okay, so your environment becomes, you are an equal, you are not above me, and you are not my boss, you are not you're one of us, and that's it. And don't try to be anything else. And the truth be told, you're not better than anybody else. You know what I mean? You're made to feel that way. So you become that way, and where it's comfortable. Oh, I don't want to come in and push everybody around, so I'll just come in with bits and pieces of a song and we'll put it all together. Well, what happens when you do that? That's compromise. From the writer's perspective, that's 100% compromise. You're letting a whole bunch of other people in on your work.
Now,
and then you're expecting it to turn out better than you thought than you could do. And then at the end of the day, is it better than you could do by yourself? Probably not, because no one is understanding where you're really coming from because you're where it's originating from. Anyway, it took a long time for me to come to realize what I was letting in through the door, and what I shouldn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And you got to become it naturally, and you got to do it. You got to become that on your own, and that self-belief becomes something that the other guys in the band actually begin to believe in, rather than try to take something away from it. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say.
No, not really. Not at all. Now, listen, it is coming up to 20 years since that email landed in your inbox from Sasha saying, I'm going to be making a movie about you. When that landed and you opened it up and you looked at it, what were your immediate thoughts?
Well, actually, it was a little bit more gradual. What started in 2005 was an email that came from Sasha saying, "Hey, it's Teabag. Where the hell are you? What's going on?" And it's like, I haven't seen this guy in 30 years or something, 20 years or something. It's ridiculous. So I contacted him back, and he invited me to come to Los Angeles. And more than invited me, he paid my way. He insisted, it's like, and I'm going like, where is Teabag got money for this? Like, I couldn't understand. And of course, very quickly after meeting up with him in Los Angeles, I came to realize that he was a pretty major player and screenwriter in Los Angeles and working for the biggest names. So it became understandable what was going on. And then he came up with the idea to after getting back together with me and hanging out, he just made the decision, I'm going to make a movie about you guys. And what did I think? I broke down in tears, because I realized that everything that I had been through made this moment come to life.
Made it all worthwhile. How much involvement in the production process did you have? I mean, did you vet everything? Could you veto what you didn't want to go
I was
in there?
there through
Or were you
everything.
just happy to let them go and do whatever they wanted to do?
Absolutely. There was nothing like it. It was, I witnessed all of it. I watched them edit and do everything from top to bottom, the whole entire thing. And of course, I had to do voiceovers. So as things came up, I was there to do it. So it's very, very, really, really fascinating and brilliant production team and work. You're just watching this stuff coming together was just phenomenal. And a lot of it is just so magical because you can't plan what a lot that happened there. They're just happenstance, and it got collected, and you're going like, how does this happen? Like the fight between Rob and I, he'd been filming for 2 years. And when that happened, he's virtually jumping up and down. I got it. I got it. I got it. And we're going, why is this guy flipping out? What do you got? Why did you just record us arguing? He goes, you don't understand. It's the most important. It was the most important thing. I had to have something like this so badly. And you guys just played it out for me as if it was scripted.
What did you think then when it was released and the success that it had, which was huge? I mean, it was talked about everywhere, the film festivals where it won the awards, etc. When you sat and you watched it,
oh, I really, yeah, but you see, when I broke out crying at Sasha's uncle's place here in Toronto, because he told me that he's making a movie, I was crying because I knew what was going to happen. It was more than here comes my opportunity. It is the opportunity. My boat just came in. In my mind's eye, I could see the red carpets. I could see the cheering people. And in fact, I visualized the Spirit Awards. I could see the round tables with all the celebrities sitting around these round tables, and imagined myself in the middle of it playing my guitar. And I lived it. And then I ended up living that moment that I actually visualized.
Well, the success was huge. Was there a part of you that was irritated that it was the movie rather than all the music that you'd done beforehand?
No, because the whole truth is it's the whole thing. Right. You can't separate it. There'd be no movie if it wasn't for the music. So that's nonsense. You can't go there. There was a moment that Rob said that. And then Sasha just turned to him. What was it that brought me to you guys? Your music. You guys got overlooked. You guys got fucked by the music business. And I wanted to do something to help you. It's about the music. And don't you ever forget it. Okay? That's part of the, yeah. I mean, I never felt that way, but I could see, Rob did. Of course Rob would go there. Doesn't surprise me.
And the celebrity, the TV appearances, the magazines, everything about it. Did you enjoy it to the fullest? Did you love every minute of it?
Yes, I did, but there was a counterbalance to it that that we were just touching upon. The bass player that we had at the time became envious that he didn't get the attention that Rob and I did.
Right.
And those feelings, those kind of things counterbalanced the fun, because and then on top of it, Rob's almost disbelief that this could be happening. And that was going on through the whole thing. Never mind. And it wasn't even until after they didn't really come to realize what was going on. You know what I mean? It was, he was so shocked by it because he didn't think anything would ever come of it. I mean, there were issues going on during the recording of the album in there with him and CT talking about they're going to make us all look like fools. You know, you're going, guys, and that's why I'm saying, was it all enjoyable? No, it wasn't. Because doubt, no matter how much positivity is around, there's still doubt. And those things were tiresome for me. I never got to, I always felt like I never really got to enjoy it like I wanted to or could have. Like just a simple example. We were going to they did a special in Rolling Stone magazine, right? Okay, that's phenomenon to me. It's like, we're going to be in Rolling Stone. So they want to do a photo shoot. The bass player starts having a hissy fit. He's got to be in the picture. If it's going into Rolling Stone, he's got to be in the picture. Meanwhile, the guys at Rolling Stone, why is this guy going to be in the picture? He's not the main characters in the movie at all. Why are we putting him in the picture? And they're going, well, he's in, and we insisted to have him included, but they felt that he didn't belong, which was, I can understand it. Makes sense. So he finds out that I strong-armed them to put him in the picture, and that still dissatisfied him. He got in the picture like you demanded, but then because you demanded it and I had to demand it, that still wasn't good enough. So that's what I'm saying. Here's this great moment in my career, and I've got a third leg dragging me back. Like, what the fuck? When it's not even his. You know, he was 2 years old when the band started. You know what I mean? He's not an original member. He's not the main star of the movie. Never was going to be. Why are you you know, and these kind of things were really, of course, on an emotional level, it was distressing. And these are the kind of things that counterbalanced the great time that could have been.
But after all of those years of being told how much of an influence you've been on Metallica and Megadeth and Anthrax, what was it like going out and sharing the stage, sharing the bill with some of these bands? How did you feel going on the stage, you know, with Metallica and Megadeth and the rest? Did you go out there with the attitude of, right, we're on this, we're going to go out there and we're going to play your ass off the stage? Yeah.
Well, no, I wouldn't. It's never been a competitive thing to me. I don't look at music as something. See, that's the other part. I really don't look at music as being something that should be looked at as competitive.
Interesting.
I don't think Van Gogh was competing with Rubens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
They're two different things, and they don't put them on the hit chart on the Billboard to say who's more popular. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
art.
yeah, yeah.
It's art.
I
It
mean,
has nothing to do
you've
with competition.
done the big festivals and everything. So you played in front of mega crowds before, but having the audience that appreciates that type of music in the building, I mean, it was a captive audience. There's a moment for you to get back into some of these kids and think, yeah, kids, there is a bit more to us than just the movie here. There's a
Oh
catalog
yeah,
of 30
well,
years worth of music.
we've stood up and been counted. If there wasn't more to the band than the movie, it would have been over after the movie.
Mm. Well, 7 albums have been released since the movie, so it's, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a prolific
that's almost
pace.
the other half of our. That's almost half.
And if you add the tours, it's like you've been on a mission to get everything in.
That's right. No, we're making up for all the lost time.
So is there something left for you to achieve on a personal level that you want to have, you want to achieve that you haven't achieved yet?
No, actually, I think I'm where I got every. That's an interesting question, but I can honestly say that I've gotten everything that I've ever wanted out of this, and I am completely content. Are there things that I would want more? Well, yeah, of course there always is. It's just like ask a guy on his deathbed, what do you want? Another day. There's never enough. You always want more, right? So is it enough? I think the human condition is always about wanting more. And I think that I guess there's nothing wrong with wanting more, but there's also nothing wrong with being content too.
Yeah, that's a
And
very,
so
very good
I'm
point.
at a
Well
place
made.
that if it ended tomorrow, if I end tomorrow, I had a great run. That's just the way I look at it. I got everything done that I wanted. I've certainly been a creative force for almost all my life. I've recorded well over 200 songs. I feel pretty accomplished. So
Where do you like playing the most? If you look at the
clubs,
audiences around the world,
clubs
do they
everywhere,
differ?
clubs everywhere, everywhere. Doesn't matter where it is. Big, small, doesn't matter. endless gigs where I can see the people and the people can see me. That's it. I really don't like big festivals. And it's actually interesting. This weekend we just played a festival, but it was a small festival. So it was like a big, huge club stage, but it's outside. And I treated it like it was inside. So at the beginning of the show, I ran out into the middle of the crowd and played March of the Crabs right in the middle of the crowd, just as like it was a club, no different. And I ended
You
the show out in the crowd just like I always do, and shake everybody's hand, sign autographs, get my picture taken with all the fans. Oh yeah, man. So
do you fully embrace all of the social media aspect of things now? I mean, when you look at things like Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, your own video channel on your own website, it's like a never-ending process of constantly updating, constantly telling people. Do you embrace that, or is that something that you find a bit of an irritation?
yeah, it can be a bit of an irritation. It is, but not. It's your window. It's your window to the street. You can either have it open, you can have it closed, or you can even draw the drapes if you want. You know what I mean?
Your first
That's how I
live
look at that
gigs.
stuff. Social media can be pretty annoying. You can really annoy people if you're good at it.
Now, I want to just mention your early live gigs, your first live gigs after you changed the name to Anvil, supporting Motorhead on the Ace of Spades tour. What do you remember about that? Because Motorhead really had hit pay dirt then around that period, the early 80s, you know, Ace of Spades, No Sleep Till Hammersmith, etc., etc. Everybody knows the story. But what was it like getting out in front of these rabid audiences, which they used to have?
Well, it's actually interesting. I think overall we did quite well. I think we actually fared quite well. And you know, it's interesting because I remember being, particularly on that Motorhead tour, I didn't want to be an annoyance or a misfit, you know, misfit band opening for Motorhead. You wanted it to be a smooth transition so that people can watch us and enjoy it and not be turned off. You know, so you had to be. So what did I mean? What do I mean by that? It was concerning because you got to be careful what you're wearing. You know, you can't look too feminine at all. I mean, it's pure sausage fest. There's no girls at the virtually no girls at the shows. So there's no reason to be standing there trying to look pretty. So also, I remember not using all the bondage gear. I wouldn't use it. And Lemmy started freaking out on me, going, "Why aren't you using it?" And going, "I just don't think it fits. It's not necessary. It doesn't fit. You know, the style of it doesn't fit what we're part of right now and what we're doing." So it was abolished. So by 83, Forge and Fire, no more bondage suit.
It was a good time, though, for you to be playing over there. The whole new wave of British heavy metal thing. There was an utter explosion. There was heavy metal in clubs, in cities and towns all over the country. And, you know, I mean, I remember seeing lots of editorial on you and seeing you on the Motorhead thing, but lots of editorial. And you made a good point, actually, when you were discussing the fan base or heavy metal in the US and heavy metal in Europe and the UK. And you said, look, it's not a fashion like it is in the US. It's a lifestyle.
That's right. Completely. And it's still the same. Still the same. It's all about fad, what's cool, what's not in the United States. It's you know, whatever comes into style, what's the newfangled big hit is the newfangled big hit. I mean, I guess the UK is like that too, to a great degree. It's, you know, it isn't metal right now, it's Adele. Right? So everything has its time and place and popularity. So, you know, I stay away from it all. Not relevant. It's not relevant to real metal. You know, and that's how I've always felt. You got to stay out of the mainstream world. It's nothing to be measured against or try to measure yourself to. It's not. It's a separate thing. It's a separate world. And
considering the
metal people are metal people, and it's a cultural thing, and it goes way beyond religion. It goes beyond color. It goes beyond all the other human aspects that we try to draw differences between. It's a genre of music that a huge portion of the population listen to, either secretly or openly. But it's not particularly an above ground thing. It's not something that, it's something you've got to go search out to find. It's not something that's stuck in your face like it was in the 80s. That's when the media and the cool people saying this is cool, and they all jump in and they make a big deal out of everything. And they overdo it. Everybody sign every fucking band that makes a distorted guitar sound. Flood the market till it's bursting. Play guitar solos that go so fast that you can't even understand what the guy's playing anymore. Everything done to complete extremes till it goes extinct.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much what I see, what I've seen. You know, okay, now it's really cool to play speed metal. So they take it to such extremes. They're going, what am I listening to? Is it like, what am I listening to music anymore? I can't make this out. I mean, to people from older people, then younger people get used to these bizarre bands, and God only knows how they read the name of the band. Can't even read the logos, never mind understand the music. So, but there's a huge following for it. But and it does what it does, and it stays underground, and it's there.
No, I know. I'll tell you what, there would be a huge following for, right? It will be part 2 of Anvil, the story. Why has there not been a follow-up? We've had a lengthy time in between that now, so it would appear, that there's a lot gone on in the years since it first came out, and it's long enough that people still remember it, and not too far ago that they don't. So why haven't you done a follow-up?
It just hasn't been in the cards. Couldn't get the interest.
Really?
Yeah, on the business side of it. We tried.
That it had first time.
It did get attempted, but there was no interest, not on a business level.
Wow. That's quite incredible.
And Sasha, he felt if you're not going to get support from I guess like labels or the movie companies, then like we're not going to do it, because he's going, I'm not financing it again. He's not going to go through it all again. I'm not going to do that. And I don't blame him. Why should he?
This year might be the right year to look at it again. You know why? Because God knows what it's going to be like, but Spinal Tap 2 comes out this year. Yeah,
so what? Good luck. Well, I wish them luck, man. I mean, I don't know how you're going to outdo that first one, but go ahead. Knock yourself out, man.
I don't know, spontaneously combusting drummers.
And you know what? I really do not believe that making a second Anvil movie is necessary or worth bothering. That's how I feel about it. I'd prefer it the way it is. I'm completely okay with the way it is. We don't need to make a second one.
And so what is the future then? Looking at for the next couple of years?
More of the same. More of the same. I'm going to try to make it to at least 25 albums. That's what I'm going to try to do. I don't know how much time I've got left. We'll find out.
And if you had to pick your 3 favorite Anvil albums, what would they be?
Ooh, probably the best ofs. The best ofs, the 2 best ofs, and the live album. There you go. How's that?
That's brilliant. Do you actually carry a camera around when you're out on the road now? Do you film lots of content? Are you aware of the potential for, the deluxe edition?
Oh, you know what? It's really interesting. There's been there has been quite a bit filmed for our second feature that's never going to be seen, probably. We did a bunch of filming, but it just, and he did a somewhat of a trailer and test run. Played it for a number of movie people, and no bites. So that's where it ended.
So this could eventually appear as an extra to a box set of deluxe material, then, presumably, could it?
Yeah, if Sasha ever, but he's probably not going to get. He's not going to let it go unless he's going to get paid something for it, because it cost him personally money. He had to pay for the filming. Why am I giving this away for free?
Well, you could give him a percentage, couldn't you? A couple of cents here and there.
I mean, it's business. It's what it is, and that's it, you know.